The movie 6 and 7 is based on a true event. At the beginning, we learn about a rare phenomenon called the black moon. This happens in certain months when there's no full moon for the entire month. It usually occurs in February, once every 19 years. The last black moon was in February 2018, and the next one will be in 2037. This detail is crucial to the story because the movie revolves around the Zulmat ritual, a terrifying and forbidden ritual performed during the black moon. The story starts with an old woman named Meryl. She visits a cursed sorceress who doesn't look entirely human, as if she's possessed by a jinn. Meryl wants revenge for the murder of her son and husband, no matter the cost. The sorceress tells her about the Zulmat ritual, the most feared ritual that even sorcerers hesitate to talk about. This ritual is performed on the darkest night of the black moon, called the Night of Zulmat, a time of complete darkness and cruelty. The sorceress warns Meryl that once the ritual begins, there's no turning back. Meryl agrees, saying she is ready to do whatever it takes for revenge. The sorceress explains that the ritual requires a horrific act, the sacrifice of a living child. The child must be buried alive. In the next scene, Meryl takes a child named Memd and begins the ritual on February 16, 2018, the night of Zulmat. As part of the ritual, Memd is marked with demon blood, meaning a demon or bdeem has entered him indirectly, preparing him for sacrifice. There's also a mysterious mirror used by the sorceress to invoke curses and connect to the mirror world, the realm of jinns. This mirror world is like our own but inverted, existing parallel to ours. Meryl's target is a man who had killed her family. After completing the ritual, the man kills his entire family and then himself, fulfilling Meryl's revenge. However, the sorceress warns Meryl that her actions have consequences. Because she sacrificed a child marked by demon blood, she must bury the child herself, alive, or she will face horrifying repercussions. Along with the child, she must also bury an amulet made from the bones of 7 animals, a seal to complete the ritual. As the story progresses, we meet another character named Ran, who is deeply disturbed by the Zulmat ritual. He questions whether such cruelty is justifiable and wonders who will be its next victim. He begins to fear that there may be no way to escape the horrors of this dark ritual. The story now moves to March 21, 2018, 5 days later. We find Meryl at the house of a woman named Arzu, who had recently moved into this house. Over the next few days from March 21 onward, strange events start to unfold. Arzu wanted Meryl to stay with her and look after the house. Arzu's mother-in-law, Lale, had been suffering from Alzheimer's disease for 2 years. She couldn't manage her daily activities on her own, like eating, drinking, using the washroom or bathing. Arzu also had 2 daughters. The elder one, Sarap, was unhappy living here because she had no friends and felt ignored. The younger daughter, Rüya, had recently recovered from a severe illness. Arzu requested Meryl to take special care of Rüya, and Meryl assured her that she would take care of the family and the house. Later we see Lale in her room, mumbling strange things. She mentioned that someone else was responsible for what had happened to her. Rüya came in and said that her father, Kamal, often expressed regret for his actions. She also said to Lale, "You are not the same person anymore. Someone else has changed you." That night, the family sat down for dinner. Meryl was feeding Lale, but Lale suddenly began speaking strangely again. She started pacing the room, mumbling odd things while staring at a painting. This painting depicted the Zulmat ritual entity, connected to the dark ritual Meryl had performed earlier. Lale warned that everything must be done at the right time, otherwise there would be terrible consequences. She told Meryl that Kamal had replaced his granddaughter with something unnatural. Disturbed by Lale's words, Meryl left the room. As she was leaving, she overheard Lale muttering that Kamal had killed his daughter and didn't even realize what he had done. Meanwhile, Sarap was still unhappy and didn't like staying in this house. Arzu was on a phone call with Kemal, who sounded very stressed. Kemal had previously worked as a doctor in a big hospital in the city, but due to some local issues, He had moved to this small town and now worked at a small hospital. Arzu questioned his decision, saying he could have continued working in the city instead of coming here. Kemal admitted that he had been dealing with a lot of mental tension, which had made him angry and restless. It became clear that Kemal was hiding a terrible secret. Something awful he had done in the past was haunting him. Later we see Meryl in her room. She still had the seal of oppression, the amulet she was supposed to bury with the child during the sacrifice. The fact that she still possessed it was strange. The seal should have been buried, but for some reason, it remained with her. Suddenly, Meryl began experiencing horrifying visions. She saw the evil spirit of her son, the curse of the ritual, and disturbing images of the child Mem she had sacrificed. These spirits and visions seemed to hunt her, even grabbing her at one point. However, when she regained consciousness, there was nothing there. From what we know about the Siccin movies, these terrifying visions occur as a result of the evolution of curses and jinns connected to the rituals. This was just the beginning of the horrors to come. Kamal had a strange dream. In his dream, he was performing a ritual involving blood and calling everyone to drink it. As part of the ritual, he needed Rüya, so he went to bring her. She told him that drinking the blood would make her completely fine. When Kamal went to pick up his daughter, he found her bleeding, and his grandmother Lale was standing nearby. She said, "Son, you shouldn't have done that." Kamal held Rüya in his arms, but suddenly, he saw her turn into Mehmed. This made him very nervous, and he woke up. It was all just a vision. That same night, Rüya was sleeping with her sister. She was haunted by a strange, evil whisper that scared her. She wanted to go to her sister for comfort, but her sister hadn't called her, which made Rüya hesitant to sleep beside her. Meanwhile, Ran was trying to figure out how to stop the evil oppression that had taken over. The evil appeared to threaten him, warning that something bad would happen if he didn't stop interfering. But Ran was fearless. He told the evil that if it wasn't afraid of him, it wouldn't have come to threaten him. Hearing this, the evil left. Kamal, on the other hand, was deeply worried. He didn't know how to fix everything or stop the chaos in his house. Seemed like no one could adjust to living there. At the same time, a child smuggler named Kazım was introduced. He kept children captive, forced them to beg, and took their money. Kazım told one of his men to keep an eye on Meryl because he believed she might do something reckless. Kazım also decided to keep an eye on Kemal, the doctor. It was revealed that Meryl couldn't sacrifice Mehmed during the ritual. There was a mysterious connection between Mehmed, Meryl, and Kemal. Later at home, Kemal gave Rüya 2 dolls, one named Rüya and the other named Mehmed. This seemed strange, as Mehmed had a strong connection to their story. Kemal also noticed that the sweater Mehmed wore in the beginning matched the one Kemal had. Kemal talked to his wife, who told him about Meryl's tragic past. Meryl's husband and son were killed in a land dispute. The man responsible had powerful connections and couldn't be punished, so Meryl found another way to take revenge. She killed the man's entire family, including the old man who had taken her loved ones. That night, Sarab was sleeping when Rüya repeatedly touched her. Evil visions haunted Sarab, and every time she approached Rüya, things became scarier. Sometimes Rüya looked terrifying and sometimes she appeared much bigger than Sarab, which frightened her deeply. Sarab eventually woke up, and a terrified Rüya came to her, seeking comfort from the haunting visions. Meanwhile, Meryl was with Lale. Lale turned into an evil figure and attacked Meryl, accusing her of breaking a promise and warning that she would pay a heavy price. This made Meryl very anxious. Even while sleeping, Meryl was haunted by terrible visions. When she woke up, she heard her son Hassan's voice. Desperate, she followed the sound out of the room, being haunted by the ghost of her son Hassan. The ghost points towards Mehmed and accuses her, saying, "Mother, you didn't keep your promise. Mehmed must fulfill his promise, or terrible things will happen." Next, Kemal approaches his mother, Lale. He tells her that he needs her life to save Rüya. Lale agrees, saying, "Yes, take my life, kill me for Mehmed." Surprised, Kamal asks how she knows about Mehmed. She replies that Mehmed told her himself and is right there with them. Kamal, in his confusion, dreams of attaching a blood drain tube to his mother's face, throwing her down the stairs. When he wakes up, terrified, he rushes to check on her. She seems to be sleeping peacefully. However, when he returns to his room, he realizes it was not just a dream. He hears Lale calling for him. He runs to the stairs and sees her climbing up but suddenly falling to her death. The dream has come true. Later, Arzu speaks to Rüya and explains to the children that Lale is in the hospital, avoiding the truth about her death. Rüya recalls how Lale used to love and care for her before her illness but had distanced herself afterward. She believes Kamal changed Lale into someone else. Meanwhile, Kazım confronts Kamal, demanding 2 million more, threatening to reveal Kamal's secrets if he doesn't comply. Kamal had already paid him some money before, but Kazım isn't satisfied. Kamal returns home upset, where Sarab complains that no one pays attention to her. She feels isolated, friendless, and frustrated that everyone only cares about Rüya. Meanwhile, Meryl, the evil sorceress, remembers the need for Mehmed's sacrifice, warning that terrible things will happen otherwise. A flashback shows how Kazım had taken Mehmed away, seeing him as a way to make money. At Kazım's base, one of his men beats a child for bringing in less money. Suddenly, the child transforms into evil Mehmed and stabs the man to death. Rüya begins to experience haunting visions. She is visited by the spirits of Lale and her entire family. Lale reveals that she is dead, not in the hospital, and warns that Rüya will die soon too. Rüya tells her mother what she saw, realizing that her grandmother is truly gone. Later, Kamal has a horrific nightmare. He dreams of evil Arzu and Sarab, while Rüya and Mehmed are strapped to operation chairs, undergoing blood transfusions. Kamal, torn and helpless, wonders which child he should save. He wakes up in a panic, realizing he can no longer hide the truth and decides to tell Arzu everything. The story concludes with Kamal standing at a crossroads, burdened by the weight of his choices and the horrifying reality he must face. Kamal sits Arzu on a chair and confesses everything to her. He reveals that he had taken blood from Mehmed to save Rüya because no other compatible blood group was available. In the process, too much blood was taken from Mehmed, leading to his death. Rüya survived, but Mehmed's life was sacrificed. Suddenly Rüya appears, but things take a dark turn. Mehmed and Rüya both transform into evil forms and attack Kamal brutally. Kamal regains consciousness and realizes he had never actually told Arzu the truth. She was still sleeping and he had fallen asleep in the chair. It becomes clear that the dark spirits, referred to as genes, were haunting him and causing these terrifying experiences. Meanwhile, Meryl is deeply troubled. She gets a call from Kazım, who confronts her. He knows she has been hiding something and reveals that she hired him to track down Kamal and his family. It turns out that Meryl came into their lives pretending to be a caretaker, but she had a secret motive. A flashback reveals more of the truth. The night Mehmed died, Kazım and his men had taken him from Kamal. Kamal had performed a blood transfusion to save his daughter, Rüya, who was suffering from a rare disease. Mehmed's blood was the only match, but the transfusion took too much blood, leading to Mehmed's death. However, Mehmed wasn't just an innocent victim. He was destined to be a sacrifice for the forces of darkness. His blood had been marked by evil. Now that same cursed blood flows in Rüya, and the spirits demand she must be sacrificed next. Elsewhere, Kazım is driving his car when children he once held captive appear in front of him. They throw stones, injuring his knee and head. He stumbles back to his car, only to be confronted by evil Mehmed, now in a terrifying ghostly form. Mehmed gives Kazım a sinister smile, and it's implied that he kills him as part of the ongoing revenge and dark rituals. Back at the house, Kamal is haunted by guilt and evil spirits. He apologizes to his mother and wanders around in fear. In one room he encounters Arzu, Sarab, Rüya and Mehmed. On a screen, He sees a disturbing interview where he himself admits to buying Mehmed and causing his death. This realization pushes Kemal closer to madness. Arzu is then hunted by the evil spirit of Rüya and becomes possessed by darkness. Arzu, now under the control of evil forces, goes on to possess Sarab as well. Darkness and oppression have taken over both of them. Meanwhile, the story reveals an amulet made of 7 animal bones, symbolizing that the time for another sacrifice is near. The darkness has fully claimed Arzu and Sarab. Meryl tells Rüya that today is the day Rüya must be eliminated and prepares for the ritual. Meanwhile, Ron, determined to stop the evil, heads to the house. He knows it's wrong to shed innocent blood and wants to protect Rüya. When he arrives, the evil tries to stop him, but Ron refuses to back down. The evil opens the gate and challenges him, warning that entering will mean his death. Unafraid, Ron steps inside and finds Sarab and Arzu possessed. He begins speaking to them, asking for the name of the evil spirit, which is necessary to banish it. The spirit mocks Ron for a while but eventually reveals its name: Afra. It turns out Afra genes, or possibly its clan, had captured the girls' gang and taken them to their world. There, it is revealed that Rüya is a marked sacrifice chosen by a cursed sorcerer named Evil. The spirit blames humans for their cruelty, saying the real evil is when people sacrifice others to save their own, as Mem's story illustrates. They also criticize people like Kazım, who exploit children for begging. Ron, however, refuses to listen to these accusations, insisting Rüya is innocent. But the evil spirits argue that Rüya has already been marked and belongs to them. A cursed woman begins performing a cruel ritual to take Rüya, but Ron grabs her by the throat and stops her. He enters her world, choking her to prevent her from completing her work. The evil fights back fiercely, but Ron strengthens his prayers, weakening the spirit. He pulls out a powerful amulet and uses it to banish the evil spirits to the darkest part of their realm, hell. With the evil gone, the curses and darkness disappear. However, Rüya, being a child, had been tricked into playing the spirits' dangerous games. Meryl covers Rüya's face with a mask, ties her hands and feet, and puts her in a pit, telling her she must stay there for a while. The innocent Rüya agrees. Suddenly, the spirit of Meryl's son Hassan appears, reassuring her that everything is fine and there's no need for further cruelty. Meryl stops hurting Rüya, tells her she played a great game, and promises to always love her. Later we see Kamal, who has gone completely mad. He is still haunted by Lale's spirit until Rüya appears and comforts him, saying she's fine and he doesn't need to do anything more. At this point, it's revealed that Rüya was never sick. It was Kamal's madness that made him believe she was ill, and his actions led to the chaos. Kamal is eventually sent for 6 years of treatment. In the final scenes, Meral, Arzu, Sarab, and Rüya all live peacefully in the same house. Meanwhile, Ron prepares for his next battle against evil, hinting at more challenges to come. The movie ends with a dramatic and suspenseful note.